Hello, it is me again, Becky. Thank you for stopping by. Today we are starting another episode of Unstuff Your TBR. I've rebranded this as Unstuff Your TBR instead of Unstuff Your Kindle so that people can read physical books or audiobooks or whatever they need to get to clear off their TBR. And I do have a new group of booktubers who are helping me with prompt ideas and participating in this. And they are Lisa at Babe and Library, Jen at Pages and Chaos, and Monika from Pardon This Book Addict is back to participate as well. So this month we put up a poll and my pick won. Yay me. And that is to read books with moons on the cover. So I have my moon shirt. It's giving very Valaris with the mountains. So I am going to try and get some books read from my Kindle that have moons on the covers for this blog. And I'm doing good because I've almost finished a book. So I have had these two books on my Kindle for a while now from Atlee Wykes. And Atlee Wykes is an author who I've read from before and enjoyed. I really liked her Inkwater series, which I've talked about a lot. And this is a start of a new fantasy romance that's set in a desert. So I read To Etch a Promise in Bone. This is the prequel to this series. So I don't think you necessarily have to read this. It will just give you more insight into the main couple that the story is revolving around. And in this we are following Kale. That's short for Kayla, I think. And she has become a slave in this desert mining civilization pretty much. In her world there were different gods that went with the different types of people. So you had people like dragon people who had scales and could fly and whatnot. You had avian people. You had siren people who worshipped the waters and things like that. And in this society, the elves have taken over. They have killed off all the gods, and in turn, that has drained the people who worship those gods of their magic and their immortality. So the elves are the reigning people in this kingdom, and they are using the lesser folk, even humans, as slaves to mine the metals that are in the ground, because that's how the elves get their power, is through metals. They used to get it from celestial metals when they worshiped their gods, but because they killed off all the gods, all they have left are the elemental metals. So they use people as slaves to mine those metals. And Kale ended up in this mining civilization when she was very young, and one of these elven princes slaughtered her entire family and her village, and so she ran away. She ended up being taken in by this man and his son, and they are essentially her family at this point, and they are all slaves in this mining town. And her father is part of this rebellion group who want to get people out of this mining slave town and to live freely in the desert. It's a very dangerous thing because they don't think people live in the desert, but they do because there's a rebellion group out there. So her father is trying to get them out safely when a new marshal comes to this mining town. And he was sent there for two reasons. He was sent there to sniff out the rebellion and try to put a stop to it. But he was also sent there as a punishment because he did things that the emperor, his uncle, didn't agree with. So his uncle sent him to this mining town where his brother, his sadistic brother, is actually running the place. And he's sent there so that his sadistic brother can kill him and get him out of the line of succession. So he doesn't really want to be there either, but he has to be. And when he gets there, he takes a notice of Kale, but he doesn't know that Kale is a girl because she's dressed in really baggy clothing to sort of protect her from people who have abused her. So he just thinks that she's this scrawny boy. And it turns out that she bests him. She ends up taking one of his blades, and they end up escaping this mining town. So that's the setup for the prequel. And in the first book, To Bind a Dark Heart, it has been a few years later. Kale and her family have been living outside of this desert mining slave town as rebels. But Kale gets herself captured to get taken back to the castle within this slave community, because she is dead set on killing the owner of this slave town, the sadistic brother, right? And the sadistic brother has these gladiator tournaments where the winner gets the first pick of a concubine. So Kale gets herself captured. She ends up being turned into this concubine. She's stripped of all of her hair. She's given magical piercings to enhance her attributes. to appeal to the winners of this gladiator tournament. And she's sure that she is going to get picked by the sadistic brother so she can kill him. But what she doesn't expect is Theron, the man who thought she was a boy, as she stole his daggers and she made a fool of him. He actually takes notice of her this time. He's really drawn to her, immediately attracted to her. And so he enters into the gladiator tournament and he wins. So he gets his first pick of a concubine and he picks Chaol. So Theron is out here looking for this scrawny boy who made a fool of him to try and kill him. He doesn't know that it's actually Chaol, who is there as a concubine to try and kill his brother. And it's the story of their relationship. So this is definitely a better example of enemies to lovers, in my opinion, even though they are drawn to one another and they're not actively trying to kill each other in this scenario. She definitely wants to kill him. She doesn't like him. And he wants to kill her, but he doesn't know that her is who he's looking for. I like that dynamic where it is enemies to lovers, but they aren't actively trying to kill each other in the moment, because she has to keep her cover, and he doesn't know that she's who he wants to kill. I like it. This has also got a bit of a master-slave component to it, let's be real. He is the master in the situation. He's a higher noble figure. He's one of the powerful elves, and she is pretty much turned into a concubine. I didn't like other books for this dynamic, but for some reason, this one is doing it for me. And I say for some reason, but I know exactly why it's doing it for me. It's because he doesn't treat her like shit. He doesn't force her to do sexual acts for him. He doesn't force her to pretend to be his slave. He's pretty much treating her as though she is a lady, like a high-ranking lady, which pisses off some of the other concubines because they're just treated as property pretty much. And I think this does a really good job of bringing up a human morality question, ponderment of, if you do bad things, if you watch atrocities done to other people and you don't intervene on those, or you even help in the situation because your own life is being threatened and the people you love are being threatened, is doing what you have to survive and keep the people you love safe, is that better or worse than watching it happen to other people, strangers that you don't know? I like this moral question because you see that a lot in the real world too. People will say, you know, if you watch injustices being done and you don't do anything about it, you're just as bad as the people committing it. And in some situations it's true. But if your life is also being threatened, is it so bad to want to survive? Is it so bad for you to want to do the things you have to do in order to survive? And I like that this story really makes you think about those questions. And that's something that Chaol is seeing as well. She always thought that Theron, the guy who pretty much slaughtered her entire family, that he was this really evil guy and she wanted to kill him. And in being his concubine, she's seeing that he does good things for people and he protects the people around him, but it's at a cost to him and his morals as well. So I like it. It's got a deeper undertone to it. It's got political intrigue into it. It's got moral intrigue into it. It's got smut. Let me tell you, it's got the smut. If you are a fantasy romance reader, you should definitely give this series a try. But I'm not done with it yet, so who knows? It might have a shit ending. But let me finish reading it, and I'll give you my final thoughts. I'm gonna give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed the chemistry between the couple and I liked the world building of this story. I will say there's a lot of names of different creatures, I guess you could say, there's a lot of different names for the gods that they worship, and there's a lot of different names for different areas within this world, which I'm still not 100% up to speed on. I'll give you that. But I just went along with it because I was here for the main romantic dynamic between Kale and Theron. And I liked how that played. The ending ended on a cliffhanger. There is a rape scene at the end of this book. I will tell you that. I don't know if this book has content warnings or not. I didn't see any, but then again, I'm not always looking for them. But this definitely did have a rape scene at the end involving the female main character. Not with the male main character, but it's there. And when I went to write my review for this book has only a 3.5 star rating. And that seemed to be the complaint in a lot of reviews, was that they didn't expect that to happen or something like that. Or they didn't know it was in the book, so I'm telling you it's in this book. And it's not just rape, it's also like brutally abusing her at the end, to the point where she almost dies at the end. But I did want to let y'all know that in case you want to read this book, just to keep an eye out for that scene toward the end of the book. I think that this series follows this couple all the way through, and I think it is a 5-book series as well. So yeah, I think I definitely will continue on with this. Not right now though. So I'm not sure what I'm going to read next. I'm aiming for this book right here because it had something to do with an older female main character who was a mother, and she gets sucked into this fantasy world or something like that. What are you doing? You're making biscuits? I'm trying to wear something that has moons on it every time I check in, and this one does. It has a tiny little moon right there. So, this book, I DNF'd this book. This was bad, okay? So, I only got 13% into this book, which was, I believe, 80 pages. I believe. So let me tell you why I DNF'd this book. I picked this up for free. We meet the female main character. She, on her 21st birthday, she had a quickie with a stranger at a bar, and she ends up pregnant. And shortly after, she ends up finding this young woman who is being assaulted, and she rescues her. And this young woman, she's strange. She doesn't have any family. She doesn't have any sort of ID or anything like that. So they grow up together. They're best friends. She lost all of her friends when she became pregnant. So she and her friend are raising her daughter. And one night, she's out staring at the moon, like you do, drinking some wine. And she stares at the moon a little too long, and the light sucks her into a different world, I guess. Never happens to me. Not once when I'm staring at the moon like I do. Has the rays of the moon ever sucked me into another world? Rude. So she wakes up and she's in this prison cell with this guy named the Berserker. And she was picked to be the Lunar Destiny, hence the title, to compete in these gladiator-style tournaments to the death. For some reason. I don't fucking know why. But she ends up befriending this Berserker guy because she shows him kindness. And in the 13% that I read, she learns that her friend, who's helping raise her daughter, is the Berserker's long-lost sister. And then she goes to this party where she's dressed up and paraded around in front of the other, like, powerful people who are watching this tournament or whatnot. And she comes across this man who has, like, white blonde hair, like her daughter, eyes like her daughter, and he calls her New Moon. And what do you think the man who she had the quickie with in the bar when she was 21 called her? New Moon. So she realizes, oh my god, that's my daughter's father. All within 80 pages, okay? And then she goes back to the Berserker, and she's really distraught about this, and he ends up fingering her and giving her oral. Yeah. So I had to stop because the spice hit a little too quickly for me. I get the impression that this might end up being sort of a love triangle between her, the Berserker, who she nicknames Bercy. What the fuck is that? And her baby daddy. Okay? I get the sense that that's what might happen. I don't know for sure, but I get the sense, and I didn't like the sense that I was getting. And just the way that this book was written didn't really hit with me. It was a very stilted written story. It didn't flow very well for me. But I was going along with it. And if that spice hadn't hit so early in the book, when I didn't feel any sort of romantic connection, I probably would have continued reading. But another thing that annoyed me was the world building. And it's given to you in question answer form. So she's asking the berserker all these questions like, why am I here? And he'll be like, this is why you're here. She'll be like, what are these gladiator games? He'll be like, this is what the gladiator games are. She'll be like, why does this exist? He'll be like, this is why this exists. And she'll be like, why don't the humans on Earth know about this? And he'll be like, this is why the human... In that exact format. I don't mind the world building in question answer format where people just sit down and ask each other questions so that the reader gets caught up on what the hell's going on. But it needs to flow in a natural conversational manner. And this just didn't. It was pretty much just how I explained it to you. It didn't feel like a natural conversation that these two people who had just met under these bizarre circumstances would be having in that time and place. So I didn't like that, and then the spice hit too early, and I'm just like, I can't do this. And now I have started reading this book, White Horse, Black Knight. Black Horse, White Knight? Something with a horse and a knight. This was talked about a lot earlier in the year, and I never really was interested in it because it sounded like a really ridiculous premise where this girl is sold into marriage, and to get to her husband, she has to ride naked on horseback, bareback, mind you, for 21 days across his kingdom with a guard who she's going to end up falling in love with, I guess. So that just sounded really ridiculous to me, and as somebody who grew up riding horses, all I could imagine was the chafing. I was like, this sounds so stupid. But I got it for free. It was free at one point. So I thought, you know what, I might as well give it a shot. So here I am giving it a shot. I haven't gone too far into this. She has just gotten on the horse. She can talk to the horse, and the horse can understand her. So that's cool. I like when characters can talk to animals. But I'm kind of just wondering, how is that going to be a comfy journey? She does acknowledge that it's a cruel action to have her ride naked on a bareback horse for 21 days. So I guess there's that acknowledgement, but the chafing, man, the chafing. I am currently on reading sprints with Jen, and Lisa just joined us. So I'm 18% into White Horse, Black Knight. That's page 69. And I think I'm going to have to DNF this book. There's just not much happening. They're just traveling through this kingdom. She's still butt naked. He does give her his shirt at one point during the journey when they're in the forest by themselves to cover up because it's cold. But other than that, it's just traveling along, people leering at her. They stop. She talks to animals. He finds her attractive. They go to the next place. They stop. People look at her. She talks to animals. He finds her attractive. And this book is 408 pages, so maybe something exciting happens, but I'm just so bored. I'm just so bored. And I don't want to. I just don't want to. So now I have to figure out something else to read, and my choices of books off my Kindle are getting slimmer and slimmer. I have DNF'd so many books with moons on the cover, but this is getting ridiculous.
I made it to 89%. And if y'all were watching, I'm a very animated person sometimes when I'm reading. And I was fighting for my life over here. I was really going through it.
Oh, no.
I was trying not to cry. I was going off. I was like, glad I'm on mute.
I wasn't paying a lick of attention. I was
And
laying down.
that's fine. That is actually perfect because it's like, I should probably turn off my camera. But in the same time, this is quality footage.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll clip it and put it in my vlog. I went through my e-reader and I tried any book with a moon on the cover.
Yeah.
I tried 4 of them. I DNF'd them all.
Maybe you'll just come to realize you don't like books with a moon on the cover. Maybe that's just like
Maybe.
115 pages left.
Oh yeah, you should definitely finish that.
Yeah.
And at least get 1 book done for your vlog.
Yeah. You know what? That'll be progress because, like I said, I was aiming for 2, but with everything going on, I'm just happy that I can at least get 1.
After exhausting all options on my Kindle of books with moon on the cover, I have instead switched to an audiobook that has been on my TBR for a long time. I'm now listening to Wolfsbane by Nancy Cummings. This I found on Everand. It's been on my Everand saved list for quite a while. And I recently read a book from Nancy Cummings this year and really, really enjoyed it. So I don't know how far I am into this book. I think I have 2 hours left of the audiobook. It was only a 5-hour audiobook, I think, at the speed I was listening to. So I was expecting this to be like full-blown werewolf smut, no plot. So tickle me surprised when this has a lot of plot to it. And it is about this man who, I believe he got bitten, and so he is cursed to turn into a werewolf occasionally. Meanwhile, his childhood friend, she is down on her luck. Her family is struggling, and she needs help, I think, to keep these dangerous monsters at bay. So she sneakily writes him a letter asking for help, begging him to come back. They haven't seen each other for a while. He up and left when he became cursed, and he never really gave her any reason why other than her father wouldn't approve of their match and he had nothing to offer her. So he pretty much broke her heart. So for her to beg him to come back and help her family was a big leap for her. So he has now returned to help in the situation. Meanwhile, her father is there and he's saying, don't try anything with my daughter. You have nothing to offer her. But she needs to find a husband to secure her means of living still, to help out her father and his estate. But she still very much has feelings for her childhood best friend. And that's where I am. So I'm very much surprised that this has such a deep plot to it, and I didn't know going in that this was childhood friends to, distant strangers to lovers. Because if you don't know, friends to lovers is my jam. So I really like that. I think they have decent chemistry. I'm not feeling it super strongly. They do like to bicker back and forth an awful lot, which I don't like. Because I'm just like, if you two would just tell each other how you really feeling, we wouldn't have to have these bitch fests, but whatever. So I don't know where the story is progressing per se. All I know is that he knows that she is his mate. I don't know how she would be his mate as a human. All I know is that his werewolf senses that she's his mate. So if he hadn't have been bitten and cursed, would he still know that she's his mate? Who knows? And they're fighting their feelings for one another. She's still trying to secure a husband and whatnot like that. So he's having to see her dance with and date other men, and he's jealous of that and so forth and such. So I'm liking the story. I'm not super obsessed with it by any means, but it's holding my attention. So that's gonna be a win, because after all of the books I've DNF'd, I'm gonna take the win where I can get it. And here's my moon for the day. It is my Novel Realm shirt, so I'm sticking with that plan of having a moon every time I share an update. So hopefully I will finish this soon. Final thoughts to come.
Trying to find decent lighting in this area.
There's not any. Okay, anyway, this is gonna have to do. I successfully finished reading Wolfsbane, and I'm gonna give this 3 stars. It was just fine. It kept me entertained, but I didn't feel a very strong connection to any of these characters. I really didn't care about their plights or anything like that. And I thought the werewolf aspect of this story wasn't a very prominent plot point. It showed up occasionally, and, you know, he was fighting his inner beast. But aside from a few moments, you could have taken this out of the story and swapped it with any other concept, and it would have made just as much sense, quite frankly. So, not one I would recommend for any particular reason, because nothing about this book really stood out to me. It was just fine. That's literally all I could say about it. But I finished a book, and that's all that matters, and I finally got it off of my TBR, so success, I suppose. So this Unstuff Your Kindle vlog was not my most successful. I found one book that I really enjoyed, and I will continue that series. Everything else, dud city. So, it's over, it's done. Moving on. But I thought I would take you outside on my top deck and see if I can find the moon to end out this vlog. I am wearing a moon shirt today. See, there you go. There's my moon shirt. But let's go outside and see if I can spot the moon. Let me turn this light off. Oh, yeah, that light did turn on. I turned that light on ooh, it rained. It's wet out here. And there's clouds in the sky. So can I spot the moon? Oof, let's turn my flashlight on so you can see me. Yeah, I don't see the moon. Well, dagnabbit, I thought that would be a great way to end this vlog. Oh well, you know, I tried. Well, that sucks. Okay, well, that was a disappointing end to this vlog, but, you know, it's right on theme. Let me know if you've read any books with moons on the cover lately, if you liked any of them, okay? But if you don't want to comment that, but would like to let me know that you made it to the end of this very pathetic vlog, could you just leave me a moon emoji, please? And with that, thank you so much for watching, and until my next video, go out there and read a good book with a moon on the cover for me. Thank you. Bye.